Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay. The 49ers improve to 3-2 on the season so far. We beat a team in the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers played tough. Got to give the Panthers credit. They made things difficult for this offense. The Panthers did not lay down. Didn't matter that they were 1-3. The Panthers came to play. At least defensively, they did. I had a feeling, if you watched the pregame show, shout out to everyone who watched the pregame show. I just didn't think the Panthers would be able to move the ball enough on this defense, on this historic defense. And when you look at the stats for this game, I mean, the Carolina Panthers continued with their trends. They had a trend in this before this game, the first 4 games of the year. They were only converting about 25% on their third downs on offense. That's putrid, Faithful. That's putrid. And that continued in this game. They were only 3 of 15. Panthers were only 3 of 15 on third down. So I thought, hey, this team can't move the ball. They're going to have a tough time having consistent, steady drives. And I think that's what came down. That's what the game came down to. We were able to slow them down on third down. But I'm glad we got the win, of course. But, you know, it definitely came at a cost. The 49ers have several injuries on this team. The injuries continue to mount up. And I know as 49er fans, we feel like, oh, this only happens to our team. But you look around the league, injuries are happening everywhere. I mean, it's literally a collision on every play. Injuries are bound to happen. But it just sucks. It happens to us. You look at the Miami Dolphins, both their starting quarterbacks are out due to concussions. I mean, it's just not a matter of if, but just a matter of when, unfortunately, that the injuries, happen. But there were a lot of good things that came about this game. You look at Tevin Coleman. Where you been, TC? Man, Tevin Coleman was balling out there. I mean, he had that huge catch from Jimmy G, and that was another play. I got to give credit where credit is due. Jimmy G, he was looking to the left, and Jimmy G was looking to the right, and the pressure was coming at him, and he stood in there. The throw didn't look good, like the pass didn't look good. The ball wasn't a perfect spiral, but he got it to Tevin Coleman, and Tevin Coleman caught the ball at his highest point. That's what the receivers taught to do. And in situations like that, it was a 50-50 ball. And that's something that I saw from Jimmy quite often in this game. He was throwing up a few 50-50 balls. Like usually you only see the upper echelon quarterbacks doing that. And Jimmy said, hey, I can do that too. But yeah, man, Tevin Coleman, he had a pretty good game today. Had the screen pass touchdown. He had that huge play, the 50-50 ball. And then he also was running the ball. And I know, Tevin Coleman isn't a sexy name, but he knows Shanahan's system. He's been with him since Shanahan was in Atlanta, so they know each other really well. Tevin Coleman, on the ground, he had 8 carries, 23 yards, 1 touchdown. His longest run was 14 yards, but Shanahan likes to play guys he knows and that he trusts. And right now, he does not trust Jordan Mason in pass protection. And hey, at least Jordan Mason is getting on the field, though, in special teams opportunities. Jeff Wilson Jr. continues to ball out. Man, Jeff Wilson Jr., I want to say this is either the second or the third consecutive game where he has a run over 30 yards. In this game, he had a run of 41 yards, and his total amount of yards and carries, he had 17 carries, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. Jeff Wilson Jr., man, he turned back the clock. I know last year he wasn't healthy, but he's looking good this year, and he's making the most out of his opportunity, that's for sure. Huge shout out If everyone in here is excited about a 49er victory, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe to Jay and the Bay on YouTube. Make sure you hit that bell notification. Shout out if you're watching on Jay and the Bay Facebook, Jay and the Bay Twitter. If you are, hey, why not go to YouTube, type in J space in the Bay, and join us here. I will be reading comments all throughout the show. And today is a call-in show. Make sure I will drop the link probably at the 8-minute mark, and feel free to call into the show and let me know your thoughts about this game. There were some good, there were some bad, and hey, at the end of the day, we're 3-2, but this was not a perfect game. Jimmy G, hey, Jimmy G, got to give him credit. He did have a bad throw. I think it was in the first quarter. It might have been on the first or second offensive drive. He threw a pass that should have been intercepted, but fortunately it wasn't. But Jimmy took some hits today. Jimmy stood in the pocket. He took some hits. They did have one deep throw to Danny Gray. And, hey, Danny Gray couldn't get separation. It was a deep throw. I was surprised. I think it was a play action pass Jimmy threw to Danny Gray. There was 2 defenders on him, though. And, hey, he went deep. That's what we want him to do. That's what we want, the Niners to do. We want the Niners to use Danny Gray. But, they used him deep today. Maybe do some screens, some end arounds. I guess Shanahan doesn't trust Danny Gray to do that just yet. But hopefully that trust will materialize throughout the season. Well, let's go with Juwan Jennings. He had some big catches on third down. And Juwan Jennings, I think for the game, Juwan Jennings had 2 catches, 45 yards. He was only targeted twice, but he had a long catch of 32 yards. So that definitely helped. JJ is a reliable target. He just needs to get targeted more. I think we can honestly say that about all the 49ers receivers. They just need to get targeted more, man. Let's see. Debo. Oh, Debo. Oh. Now, Debo, I think he started off a little slow. The 49ers didn't really run him in this game. Let's see. Debo Samuel only had 2 carries for 12 yards. So the 49ers are not using him as a running back, and I like it. I think him running the ball in between the tackles wasn't really surprising any of the opponents this year. So it looks like Shanahan kind of went away from that. But he had 2 carries, 12 yards today. Longest run was 9 yards. He added in the passing game 2 catches, 20 yards. I mean, his biggest play was the touchdown catch. He was targeted 9 times, but only had 2 catches. So that's not good. I think I remember, quite frankly, he had 1 dropped pass. So that wasn't good, but hey, he'll get better. Kittle was targeted early and often in the first half. George Kittle, the first play of the game went to him, and I definitely like to see that. We all want to see Kittle get more involved. He did have that fumble, but fortunately, it didn't really hurt us. Kittle ended the game. His longest pass was 20 yards. His longest reception was 20 yards. He had 5 catches, 47 yards. The Ayuk show. Brandon Ayuk, he had 3 catches, 58 yards, targeted 4 times. His longest catch was 24 yards. I love what Brandon Ayuk brings to this offense. And we all know Faithful, the defense was pretty damn good. Only allowed 15 points, 3 of 15 on third down conversions. I'll take that any day of the week, because that means this Panthers offense was not able to get a rhythm. They were not able to move the ball down the field consistently, and that's the type of defense I'm talking about. Dre Greenlaw led the team with 11 total tackles. We had 6 sacks. You get a sack. You get a sack. You get a sack. Fred Warner had 1. Hufanga had 1. Flanagan Fowles had 1. Gibson and Burks had a half sack. Charles Omenihu had 1. Drake Jackson had 1. So it's great to see that this team continues to pressure the quarterback, and we're going to need that to continue, especially with the injuries we now have on this squad. But we got some good, we got some bad, we got some injuries, but I'm going to go ahead and drop that link in them comments. So if you wish, you can leave your comments about the game in the chat, or you can go ahead and hey, give me a call. You can do a voice call where we only hear your voice, or you could show your face if you like, whatever you're comfortable with. So let's drop this link in them comments. And all I ask, just keep it respectful. You know what I'm saying? I bring respect to y'all. Just keep it respectful. And that's all I ask for, man. This is a family show. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I ask for. All right, I'm gonna drop that link, and feel free to join in the conversation. But let's continue with these comments. We got Jag in the building. Hot diggity dog. Appreciate that $2 super chat, Jag. Jag says, great win. Jimmy played clean, good run game, first place. I agree, Jag. I completely agree. He played a clean game. That dropped interception could have come back to bite us, but other than that, he stepped up in the pocket. He made some big throws. He took some hits too. So Jimmy played solid. And speaking of Jag, we got Jag in the building. That's the first caller. What's good? How you doing tonight, Jag?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Hey, excellent, man. What did you think about the game?
I thought we played a pretty clean game. I thought I was kind of surprised that for the second game in a row, Jimmy's been throwing it, and we've been throwing it more than we've been running it, even though we were pretty effective on both of them. But Jimmy made some good throws. He made some good throws, clean game, and that's all we ask of him. So Tevin Coleman was pretty good. I was really surprised.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yes, I was really surprised that how he played. He played great. Like he never went anywhere. Like he played the same old Tevin Coleman.
Right.
Got good hands and ran hard. And I think we're doing pretty good with him and Wilson. So the only downer, of course, is the injuries. But what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, Robbie Gold. I mean, and that's part of the special teams unit. Whenever your kicker has 2 tackles, that's never a good thing. And we clearly saw that. He tweaked his knee. They said it was a knee contusion. Who knows how long he'll be out? And you look at Nick Bosa. I didn't really see when he had the groin injury. That happened, I think, like right after halftime, so at the beginning of the third quarter. Jimmy Ward, I didn't even see when he got hurt either, but I heard it was within the first 2 snaps he was on the field. And then Emmanuel Mosley, what are your thoughts on E-Man? I mean, he's coming into this is his contract year. He's trying to, break the bank next year and get paid on a lucrative contract extension. And now he most likely won't get that. He's got the torn ACL. He's going to be out for the year. Do you think E-Man should have been in there? I mean, it was 30-15, fourth quarter. I think it was like 4 minutes left. What's E-Man doing in there? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we should have probably, taken him out and put in Thomas or Womack or somebody like that, because it was kind of in hand already. And but injuries, you don't know when they're going to strike you, when they're going to get you. It was like kind of a weird play when he made that when he got injured.
Yeah.
I thought it was just tweaked, at first. I thought maybe he just tweaked it because it kind of like his knee went kind of a little trippy, but it didn't seem like it caught on the field. But unfortunately, that's. So what do you think? You think Womack's gonna be in there, or Lenore or Thomas? What do you think?
Whew, man, that's a great question. Lenore was in the slot today, and he's been in the slot, I believe, like the last 2 games. But he kind of, I would say, some plays were made on Lenore today. That doesn't mean he's not up to the job. It just means, hey, some plays were made on you, and you got to go to the next play. But I think they keep Lenore in that slot. And Jason Verrett, he was back at practice this week. I know you don't want to rush him back. He's also coming from a torn ACL. If I had to guess, if Verrett is not able to play next week, I think they may go with Mosley at the outside corner. Maybe. I think it's between either Mosley or Ambry Thomas. What
Oh,
say you?
well, not Mosley. Mosley is the one that got hurt.
Sorry, not Mosley. Womack. Sorry, Womack.
Womack. Yeah, yeah.
I think it's either between Womack or Thomas. I think.
I mean, Thomas has more experience, because he kind of was in the fire last year. But Womack seems to be more athletic. He's a bigger guy,
Right.
and he just seems to be, he was playing good until Lenore just happened to, I guess, he took it away from him, that slot, in the slot position. And I think, I don't know, that's going to be a tough one because if you put Womack in there, then Thomas is going to say, hey, what's going on here? I played well last year, sort of down the stretch. But, hey, it's whoever's the best guy. Whoever's the best guy, I guess D'Amico is going to make the decision. It's going to be a tough decision, but
Yeah.
I have confidence in both of them. Thomas, because he has experience. Womack, because he played pretty well in the preseason and he played good in the first couple of games before Lenore took over for him. So, we're lucky that we have a little bit of depth right there.
Yeah, no, I agree. We are lucky that we have depth. I think whoever you put there, I don't think you necessarily want to leave them on an island. I think the defense may have to adjust because I felt like you didn't have two lockdown corners, but I felt like those were the best corners on the team, and D'Amico was able to blitz willingly. And now you may not want to do that. You may want to, keep a safety over the top, whoever's opposite of Mooney Ward.
Yeah.
But I think, they're going to have to make some type of change because I don't think there's another corner outside of Jason Verrett who can play up to that Emmanuel Mosley level, at least consistently. We haven't seen it so far yet. So,
yeah, and I heard that Verrett was warming up before the game, and he still didn't look
right,
like ready to go.
Yeah.
So
it might take him some time, man. He's a guy who has multiple injuries. He's coming back from a torn ACL. So, but yeah, man. But I appreciate you calling in tonight,
all
Jack.
right,
Man.
all right,
Appreciate
man.
it. I'll see you next week.
Hey, but we're in first place, though.
Absolutely. We're in first place, and now we got to play the Atlanta Falcons. We're staying on the East Coast. I think Atlanta lost today, too.
Yeah, they lost.
Yeah,
they lost.
I think they're going to be competitive, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, they've been feisty the whole year.
Yeah.
Well, you stay blessed, and thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely, man. You have a good rest of your night.
All right. Good evening.
All righty. That was Jack, and we also have another caller coming in. Let's say, what's good? John J., 49ers Ultimate Report. How you doing tonight, man? What you think about this win?
Yeah, first of all, a W is a W.
Yeah.
1 point win or 100-point win. That's the first thing I wanted to say about this victory. So I'm glad that we won and we're in sole first place because the rest of our division, they have losing records. So that's always a little positive to say about that. But besides all of that, I want to talk about someone, very controversial on the Niners. His name is Jimmy Garoppolo. And I was watching, the entire game. Jimmy did something that no one's going to give him credit. The throw to Coleman, he was getting pressured, got hit, threw it 30 yards down the field, and Coleman caught the ball. So I want to give Jimmy his credit. He can throw the ball down the field. So that's the first thing I want to say. But he was under pressure so many times. Like, he had to escape a few times. Like, I think I caught 3 opportunities where he escaped, and the third time he got finally sacked for a 2-yard loss. So Jimmy was having problems, and I was worried about Jimmy getting hurt because Moore blew a bunch of coverages. He was really ticking me off. The line is young. The line is very young, and the receivers were dropping. At least 4 balls were dropped, 1 by Ayuk, 1 from Kittle, and 2 by Debo. Debo was targeted 9 times.
He only had 2 catches. That's crazy. Yeah.
And Jimmy could have thrown that touchdown pass to Debo. The ball was just a little bit off, but he had to get that ball out because the pressure was breaking down. So I wanted to say that about Jimmy because I know there's still people who will always say what they want. And this is a guy who is a very strong critic of Jimmy Garoppolo, but I give him where credit is due. The defense, they did what they do, held the the run game of the Panthers to 60. I think it was 64 total yards, which is a good stat. We intercepted Baker Mayfield. It was fun, but Bosa, I'm worried about him. Groin injury, and I want to talk about Emmanuel Mosley because I saw that collision. It really looked good, but during the game after the commercial, I saw him walking on his own power. So then I hear maybe when he was walking towards the locker room, something snapped. So I don't know what happened, but if he has a torn ACL, he's done for the year. So
yeah,
I don't know.
They said he has a. Shanahan said they fear a torn ACL. I mean, usually when they fear that, I mean, I don't think they would put that out there if they weren't like 98% sure.
Yeah, and then
But
Tommy, yeah. And Tommy wrote in the comment in the second half, the third quarter, Jimmy was getting pressured. He looked bad. But I don't know if anyone noticed this. Brunskill was playing the left tackle, and when Brunskill was there, Jimmy had more time. He was able to set up. So maybe when they put Brunskill in there, maybe they realized that Moore needs more time to get some playing.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, Moore is the third string left tackle for a reason. And Brunskill, he was all over that offensive line. He was playing left guard at times. He was playing right guard at times. But that's how versatile Brunskill is. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens at that left tackle spot because it seems like Brunskill is just rotating between series. So do you think, and about Emmanuel Mosley, what say you? It's 30-15. It's the fourth quarter. Baker Mayfield's not threatening the ball really downfield. I mean, he was checking it down to McCaffrey on numerous occasions. Do you think E-Man should have been in there with only 4 minutes left?
Yeah, so the Niners at the time, I think it was 30-15. I think that was a score.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have needed to score 2 touchdowns, and one of the touchdowns, a 2-point conversion. I don't think they would have been able. Baker was just wrapping up the yards, those garbage time yards.
Right.
This is what happened week 1 last year when Jason Verrett, when we had a 41-17 lead with 5 minutes left on the clock. So I don't know if it was a Shanahan decision or a DeMeco Ryans decision because we had other corners we could have used, and so that's a big blow if tomorrow the MRI does show that it's an ACL, because then Ward has been doing good. Charvarius Ward. A lot of people don't know this, but everyone's talking about C.J. Jackson last year being the best corner, but just because he had like 12 interceptions with the Patriots, Ward had the best passer rating against quarterbacks. Like he had the best, and you're seeing what he's doing. I think he had like 4 batted balls and that good block in the end zone where Panthers fans said it was a pass interference. He did not even touch him. He just put his hand at the right moment and just batted the ball away.
Yeah, Charvarius is a beast, man. He is as advertised, and I don't understand why Baker kept throwing his way. I mean, I don't think he could have given up a catch or two, but it seemed like more often than not he was breaking up catches all game. So I don't know why Baker kept going his way. Maybe that's showing Baker's heart. It doesn't matter who's out there; he's going to try to throw to where he thinks he has an advantage. But man, Ward is a beast, man, and he's definitely a cornerback that's been missing from the 49ers, I think, in Kyle Shanahan's tenure. So, but yeah, man, I think we'll see what happens. We are 3-2, first in the division, and I'm looking forward to next week in Atlanta, man. I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate you calling in, John Jay. I appreciate it, man.
All right,
you have a good rest of the night. Are you going live tonight?
I always go live after the game, so I did my show. I had some time to hop on in here. But before I go, I want to remind everyone who's watching, you have to subscribe to Jay and the Bay. You have to. You're doing yourself a disservice. And I don't know, because I know you're a very busy dude. I see you on the other channels, and like with Niner Sickness, First Takes. But if you have any time, in the future, let me know. Hit me up so we can do a show together, because I know my fans have been asking me, where's Jay and the Bay? He's not there no more. So my fans are like, and I respect your time. I never pester nobody. So
no, I appreciate it, man. We'll definitely link up, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. And thanks for having me on.
Go Niners.
Yeah.
All right. That was John Jay. Make sure you check out the 49ers Ultimate Report on YouTube. I'm sure you already have. Make sure you check him out. Let's go through these comments. Damian Lee, He says, I would like to send my condolences to the Los Angeles Scams. I'm assuming they lost today. Damian Lee says, watch out. Jimmy G is turning into a running quarterback. He did. Hey, he got out of some situations. There's no doubt. He was looking to the left and looking to the right. And he took some shots in the pocket from the defenders, and Jimmy made some throws, man. Jimmy's definitely showing heart out there. Tommy Huxley says strength and conditioning staff is absolute garbage. You know, it's really every team gets injuries. It's really tough to decide. I mean, they got hurt playing football. I mean, how can you really prevent what happened to Emmanuel Mosley and Robbie Gould? You can definitely prevent that injury by having better coverage of your special teams. I think this was the first game where, you know, the opposing team had really good starting field position, and that put the 49ers defense in a bind. But it really didn't affect the Niners defense that much. I mean, we only allowed 1 touchdown and 2 field goals. So we were able to overcome that. I think there was another super chat. We got Luke Luna, hot diggity dog. Appreciate that $2 super chat. He said, spread the love. We got the dub. I like that. Man. Let's see. Let's continue on with these comments. Tommy Huxley says special teams is a joke. Yeah, I mean, they did not have their best game. I don't think the Panthers, we didn't punt that much. I don't think. I didn't really see Mitch Wishnowsky out there that much. I know he had at least 1 punt that went into the 10-yard line, which is exactly what you want. Yeah, I don't remember seeing Mitch out there. Obviously, we saw him after Robbie Gould got hurt, but I thought, you know, Mitch played well. But yeah, definitely the coverage needs to get better. We can't have our kicker being the best tackler on our kicking team. We definitely don't want to see that. Appreciate Damian Lee saying Jordan pull that like button. Tommy Huxley says love me some Jennings. Tommy also says the score should have been 45-10. Monty Williams, I told you, Jay, with my predictions. Damian Lee thinks we need to fire the conditioning coach. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, you know, I don't know how conditioning coaches are going to prevent injuries that happen in the game, man. Unfortunately, it sucks, man. I think it's just going to continue to happen. Jag says special teams not so special. I thought we had it figured out. I think this was one game where, yeah, they got to work on some things. I felt like the first 4 games, I thought they did pretty well as far as coverage and not allowing big returns on kickoffs, but the Panthers had some good returns today. Tommy says Jimmy Ward shouldn't have even played today. Yeah, I mean, if the guy says he can go, the doctors clear him. You know, it sucks that now he's got a broken hand. I mean, I'm sure he could probably still play with that broken hand. Obviously, it would be much harder for him to intercept the ball, but he may be able to still play on that. I mean, it's going to be in a cast. They'll wrap it up. So I've seen players play with a broken hand, but we'll see what happens. We'll see. And the link is in the description. Feel free to hit that link if you want to call in to the show. Tommy Huxley says no interceptions for 2 straight games. Well, what do you mean, man? What's his face got an interception? Emmanuel Mosley. Emmanuel Mosley had the interception. He returned that for a touchdown, Tommy. Oh no, maybe he's talking about Jimmy G. He must be talking about Jimmy G, didn't it? Yeah, that's who you're talking about. My bad. You're talking about Jimmy G didn't have 2 interceptions. And we have another caller in. He is 1/4 on the Straight Out of the Bay YouTube. We go live every Monday night after the Monday night game. Let's bring in Rich, aka Celts Chronicles. What's good? How you doing tonight, man?
Faithful, rise up. Yeah. Hey man, I might have to like back out and come. I might have to back out. There's a big old echo.
Okay, well, you sound fine to me, but unless you hear it on your end.
Yeah, I hear it on my end.
No worries. Okay. So Rich will come back in. I will continue with these comments. Let's see. Damien says, Tommy, do you think we need another running back? That's a good question. I mean, as far as depth, we're fine now. We haven't had the injuries, at least in this game. Jeff Wilson Jr. looked good. Tevin Coleman looked good. We got Jordan Mason, but Shanahan ain't going to use him, only in special teams. So And let's see. Tommy says Verrett ain't even ready. Yeah, I think a caller called in and said that Verrett warmed up, but he just doesn't look like he's there yet. So we can give him time. Um, could the 49ers pick up a corner in the free agent market? That's possible. Honestly, I don't know any corners that are at the top of my head that are available, but that could be an option because the cornerback depth. So Verrett's out. He's not ready. Emmanuel Mosley's out. So starting, you got Mooney Ward. You got Lenore at the slot. You got Ambry Thomas. You got Samuel Womack. I don't know if we have any corners on the practice squad. I'd have to look. But yeah, the 49ers could bring in a corner. Tommy says Ambry Thomas. Yeah, that's an option. Livy's World. What's good? Livy's World says Jimmy G. That's my quarterback. Man, if he continues to play like he did today, I think some of his throws, this is who Jimmy is. Some of his throws are going to be behind the receivers. Sometimes they're not going to look pretty when they come out of his hand, but hey, man, I mean, he's playing solid enough. And Tommy Huxley, again, reaffirms that Verrett isn't ready. Combs saw him practicing. Damian Lee, I think we need to call Tart for insurance. Injuries are popping up like flies. I mean, Deshaun Gibson has been playing well. I think we're more – I think cornerback is another position. Is Dante Johnson, dare I say his name, Dante Johnson? I mean, I don't know if he's still on the 49ers practice squad. I'd have to look, but this is definitely something that the Niners will have to address going forward because we're really thin at that cornerback spot. I'm looking at the practice squad right now. We do have a cornerback. Yeah, Dante Johnson. Dante Johnson is on the practice squad. So, we also have Taylor Hawkins, but he's a safety and he's a rookie out of San Diego State. So we have a trusty vet in Dante Johnson. Hey, he might get called up. I won't be surprised by that. Damian Lee suggests that we save Jason Verrett for week 9. Okay. All right. Hey, I don't think we should bring him in until he's absolutely ready. Let's see. Tommy Huxley says the O-line tightened up in the second half. The Panthers, they were getting pressure on the edges. I feel like the interior blocking has been pretty good, but the edges, but that's what we expect. You got a third string left tackle there, so I mean that's what you expect. Luke Luna, what's good? Jimmy G looks to the left. He looks to the right. You want to know what he's looking for? Which side of the field he's going to grab the dub from? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Double L. That's funny. We got Cjin in the building. What's good? Appreciate you coming through to the stream, Cjin. He says, what's good, Jay? Plus Niners Nation. Congrats on the dub. And Cjin, you can say we are an empire. Empires take over nations. We go by the Niner Empire. But I appreciate you for coming in, hitting that like button. I appreciate it, man. Let's see. Tommy says, I told you Cowboys would win. Let's see. Tommy congratulates the Seahawks on their effort today versus the Saints. Okay. Luke Luna says, well, if Mitch could do his job, do the kickoffs, Gold wouldn't be out there having to try. Well, usually, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually the kicker does the kickoffs, and obviously he does the field goal kicking. And usually the punter, he'll hold for the kicker and he'll punt the ball. But I think that's pretty much standard around the league. Usually the kicker has the strongest foot. They kick the field goals, and they also do the kickoffs. We got Bay Area throwbacks in the building. What's good? Appreciate you coming into the stream tonight, Bay Area throwbacks. What you think of that victory tonight for the Niner Empire? Let's see. Bay Area throwbacks. I appreciate the kind words, man. Appreciate that. Luke Luna, we're not the only team with injuries. Maybe other teams should fire theirs, and when we fire ours, they can hire ours. I mean, it's true, man. I mean, it sucks that it happens to us, but it happens to every team. And I don't think trainers can prevent injuries that happen in the game. I just don't, it looked like a fluke injury, honestly. To me, it looked like a fluke injury, and I'm talking about the injury to Emmanuel Mosley. I mean, he was just going up for the ball, something he does every game. He's contesting the ball so that way the receiver can't catch it. I mean, this is a normal play. So, I just don't see what else he could do. I don't see how you prevent that type of play. So it's just unfortunate. I didn't really see Jimmy Ward get hurt. I didn't see Bosa get hurt. Now, Robbie Gould, he made the tackle, but, man, Robbie Gould doesn't practice tackling. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you can't allow him to tackle, man. I mean, let's be real. He just needs to focus on kicking. And, hey, we'll see how long he got hurt or how long he'll be hurt. We'll see the severity of the injury for Bosa, Gould, and Jimmy Ward as, the days progress. Tommy says Tico looked amazing. Talking about Tevin Coleman. Yeah. I mean, you said, Tommy, you said Tevin Coleman was garbage, man. And I thought Tevin Coleman, he's all reliable. You know what he's going to do? Does he have 4.2 blazing speed? Does he have unprecedented athletic ability? No, but hey, he's a back that he played well today and Shanahan trusts him, That's what it comes down to. We got a super chat from Blue True. Hot diggity dog. Appreciate that $10 super chat, Blue True. Share the love. The 49ers got the dub. Yeah, that's an excellent quote. Excellent quote. Now, there were some things that we needed to work on. We did have 9 penalties. Fortunately, they didn't come back to bite us. And then, of course, we talked about the special teams. I talked about the good earlier in the show, but let's talk about that again. And this is a call-in show. Feel free to call in. The link is in the chat. We just mentioned Tevin Coleman. He had a touchdown catch. I think it was like a screen pass. And then he also had that great 50-50 ball that Jimmy threw to him, and he came down with the catch, caught the ball at the highest point. He was excellent today, Tevin Coleman. Jeff Wilson Jr. led the team in rushing. He had 17 carries, 120 yards. He also had a long run of 40, I think it was like 40 yards. So Tevin Coleman continues to ball out. Jeff Wilson Jr. continues to ball out. Had an excellent game. And I think this is the second or third game in a row he's had a rush over 30 yards. So he putting in that work. I mean, Jeff Wilson Jr., he's not Elijah Mitchell, but, hey, he's looked pretty good. Jimmy G, got to give credit where credit is due. He took some hits in the pocket. He made some solid throws. And I think he finished 18 of 30, 2 touchdowns, 200 yards. That's a Jimmy G game right there. Got to give him credit. Juwan Jennings was big on third down, 2 big catches. Debo, he was solid, had that touchdown catch. But I think he was targeted 9 times, but only 2 catches. I know Debo had a few drops, but he'll be better. Kittle was targeted early and often in this game. I think he had 5 catches, about 50 yards. So Kittle was good. Let's continue on with these comments. Double L, Kyle has to get Mac ready. We have to use him. And he's talking about Marlon Mack, the running back. And Marlon Mack was not on the active roster for the game. So he was inactive tonight. I don't think it's due to injury. I just think Shanahan trusts Wilson Jr., Tevin Coleman, and he likes to use Jordan Mason on special teams. So that's why Jordan Mason is in there. But Double L continues to go on. Kyle has to get Mac ready. We have to use him. Man, he's built for our scheme. Coleman can run the outside zone. I knew he would, but so should Marlon and Wilson between the tackles. I agree, man. Let's see. Yep, Dante Johnson is on the practice squad. Hey, he could be a player that could be called up. We got Bryant Cope in the building. What's good? Appreciate you coming into the stream, BC. Hope all is well. Double L. Jimmy threw the Uke Show. He says Jimmy threw for our Uke to come back to the ball. It was the safest way to play that pass down the sidelines because the defender was a bit ahead of him. Yeah, and that's something I had never really seen Jimmy do. Like he was, dare I say, Jimmy was throwing guys open. He threw the ball when there wasn't much separation, and he allowed his receiver to go up and make a play. And that's something that we usually don't see from Jimmy G. I was pleasantly surprised. Granted, hey, he had to get rid of the ball because, the Panthers pass rush was definitely going after him and he was getting pressure. So you got to give credit where credit is due. Let's bring on our next caller. We have Bryant Cope in the building. What's good? How you doing tonight, Bryant?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I am like on such a hype train. We won. Every time we win, like my week just starts off from there. When we lose, I don't want to talk to nobody. I need a couple of days. But yeah, I am so happy. Definitely a little bit concerned about Robbie Gould. But for the most part, I'm really excited. I'm so happy. It was a team win. I think everybody contributed really well. And hey, you and me, our scores were, nobody said it, man. Nobody said we could do it. But guess what? We put more than 30 on those guys.
I know. I thought we could have put 30, and I thought we would get a defensive a touchdown, and we did that. Got that interception. And yeah, that was definitely good. The defense continues to ball out. If we only allow 15 points the rest of the year in each game, I'll take that now because this defense continues to play exceptionally well. Now, unfortunately, Emmanuel Mosley's out. How is that going to affect this defense? And who do you think will start in his place?
Well, I would like to see Verrett, but they're saying he's not quite ready yet. So yeah. I'm not quite sure. I'll let the coaches decide on that. But that's definitely an injury. What do you think about Bosa? Do you think he's out for a while, or do you think
he's got the groin injury, and George Kittle is come back from that. I'm not sure the severity of the Bosa groin injury, but I think Kittle was out for 2 or 3 games, I believe. So, yeah, it would suck to lose Bosa for any amount of time. But it sucks because injuries continue to pile up. But I think we'll have a better idea of the severity of Bosa's injury in the next few days. And I would be surprised if he played against Atlanta. I would be surprised because he didn't come back in the game. But, you never know. We'll see. I'm sure it's a pain tolerance thing. And maybe Kittle's and Bosa's movement is a little bit different. Kittle is an explosive guy. Especially when he's running his routes. And yeah, Bosa is explosive as well, but I guess it's just his movements I feel maybe a little bit different. But who knows? We'll find out.
Well, the one thing I do know is I guess Bosa had a groin injury in college. So I don't know if it's a lingering issue or if I wouldn't want to say it's the same injury, but if it is, then that it just hasn't healed right. But what happened to Jimmy Ward? He broke his hand?
Yeah, I didn't even see. Honestly, I didn't even see Jimmy Ward on the field.
I didn't see it either. I try to watch every play. I know you probably do too. I usually have a couple people over, or I'm cooking, or me and my wife, or we're enjoying the game. I'm running the refrigerator, getting another beer, and I don't know what happened, but he broke his hand apparently. Yep. And that's not good either because we were hoping Verrett and Ward would be like our guys that we could stash for a little while and then bring them in when the season starts to, and I don't know if that's going to work out now, but, next man up, I guess.
I mean, I've seen players play with a broken hand, especially if they're like defensive linemen, right? But, as a defensive back, you need both of your hands, that's for sure. So it'll be interesting to see how long Jimmy Ward will be out, when he'll be able to play. But they say Jimmy Ward got hurt within like his first 2 snaps. So, but I didn't hear anything about it until the second quarter. Did you hear about it sooner than that?
No, I didn't hear about it until about the same time you probably heard about it. Okay. And I joke, I like Jimmy Ward, I really do, but I joke his nickname's Hospital Ward. The boy if he can't stay healthy, man, I mean, we need him on the field, but when he's on the field, he's solid. So yeah. I'm really excited, man. Good win for the Niners. I want to take one game at a time, but we got a good good aura about this team right now.
Absolutely. Who stood out to you? Who stood out to you the most offensively tonight?
Well, offensively, Tevin Coleman probably. I really liked him coming into the game. I liked how they were rotating him, and I have Jeff Wilson as my fantasy running back. So I was like, "Hey, is he not playing?" And then I see him later, so I was really happy to see him later. But I was very excited because when Jimmy was getting like sacked, he threw that ball up, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's either going out of bounds or this is gonna fit." And Coleman out of nowhere jumped up and did the toe, the toe
I did not
tap.
see that coming.
No, I did not either. So I'm very excited because Coleman is a vet in Shanahan's offense. Maybe not necessarily the Niners, but Shanahan's offense. So I think bringing that in, that's probably a really good move for him. And Bobby Turner, second week back, I think that might have had something to do with it too. But man, dude, go Niners! Once again, nobody thought they could do it. They got more than 30 on them. Really excited. Dude, seeing you the other day with Aaron, keep grinding, keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate it too, because you know what? Sometimes when you don't have necessarily something to jump on and say, you listen to other people talking, and they get you thinking and get you hyped, and you get. Man, I appreciate everything you do.
Hey, appreciate it, man. You're always welcome to call in, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, have a great
night.
Day. Talk to you soon. Everybody stay faithful. You have a good night.
Absolutely. Same to you. All right. That was Bryant. Man, another great caller. Feel free. I will drop in that link one more again. Feel free to call in and express your thoughts about your San Francisco 49ers and their victory over them good old Carolina Panthers. Double L says, ease Verrett in on third downs and let the other guys play. And if Mosley is out for the year, I think he is, then we have to start playing Verrett as a starter if he's ready. Supposedly, Grant Combs saw him warming up, and he just didn't look ready. So, I think it's a wait-and-see approach with Jason Verrett. If he's not ready, you shouldn't put him out there. I would say the starter on the outside, opposite of Mooney Ward, would probably be Womack or maybe Ambry Thomas. I think those could be the two corners who start. Or maybe you put Lenore outside and Mosley inside. It's either you put Lenore outside or put Womack inside. One of those two. But it'd be interesting because will the 49ers defense change now? You go from having a tandem of two great corners, and now you have one great corner, but then I think there is a little bit of drop off when it comes down to whoever's going to be there, whether it's going to be Womack outside or whether it's going to be Ambry Thomas outside. There's going to be a bit of a drop off. So will the 49ers still be able to blitz as much as they have been doing? Will you have to add a safety over the top opposite of Mooney Ward to help that corner out? So it'll be interesting to see what this defense does against Atlanta. Atlanta has been scoring points, but they're not a world beater. They're not a proficient offense. But we'll see what happens. We do have another caller in. Let's get to this caller right now. We have David McNew in the building. What's good? How you doing tonight, D? Doing good.
So Mosley getting hurt. Now we don't know how extensive this is. There hasn't been any medical testing done yet. It could just be a sprained knee, which I got my fingers crossed for.
Yeah.
But, if worst case scenario, he's done for the season, I'm definitely glad we have Verrett, although he's still getting himself in playing shape. What do we do? Do we put Lenore hasn't looked bad. He hasn't looked great. So do we start him on the outside or Ambry Thomas? What would you do?
Ambry hasn't really played this year. It seems like he's only really played in garbage time. It seems like he is the last corner, on the depth chart. Dare I say Dante Johnson, he's on the practice squad. The 49ers have used him at safety. They've used him at outside corner. I think it's either going to be between Ambry Thomas or Womack to play the outside. I think maybe they want to keep Lenore inside because that's where he's played the last two games. So, but whoever goes there, there's going to be a drop-off. I think there's no question about that, replacing Emmanuel Mosley, unless Jason Verrett is 100%, which he's not. I think replacing Mosley will be a tough task. And, Shanahan did say in the press conference that They fear that it's a torn ACL. I don't think he would put that out unless they had an idea. Like if they thought it was a sprain, I don't think they would just jump to the conclusion, oh, he may have a torn ACL. I don't think they would say that. Obviously, we won't know till they do the MRI, and that'll be official tomorrow. So, but yeah, outside of that injury, who stood out to you tonight on the defensive side of the ball?
Givens.
Givens, okay.
The backup interior lineman we got in, those guys are playing great right now. Hoping to have Armstead back next week. I mean, the Falcons, they're not the best team, they're not the worst team, but they're playing hard right now.
Right.
So it is not a guaranteed W.
No, I agree. They are missing their best running back in Cordarrelle Patterson. I think he's on IR. But there's no doubt that they're playing tough. They're playing inspired football. They're just not coming out on the right side up. They're just not winning games at this point, but they're still playing hard. And I don't know about you, but I felt the Panthers were playing hard today. They gave Jimmy and this offense some fits, especially in the first half. I don't know about you, but being only up, I think it was 17-3 or 10-3 at the end of the first half, I think it was a little disappointing, to say the least. It was almost like another one of those games where the Niners defense plays lights out and this offense could only muster up. Like, we were able to move the ball down the field, we just couldn't really get it into the end zone. So that was a little frustrating. But on defense for me, I say who stood out today. I thought Fred Warner played pretty well. He snuffed out a screen pass that was going to McCaffrey. He also had a tackle for loss. Greenlaw continues to lead the team in tackles. I mean, he's all over the field. Greenlaw did have a silly penalty where he was he was holding McCaffrey. I'm like, Greenlaw, you can do that when they're on the ground, but don't make it so obvious. I mean, come on, man. But hey, it's something he'll learn from. But how about on offense? Who stood out to you on the offensive side of the ball tonight?
Well, that would be Jeff Wilson Jr.
Whew.
He was running the ball hard. I mean, it's like, last year it was like, where were you? But the year before, though, he had a great year.
Right.
And then, last year he was hurt, but then when he came back, he just didn't get his work back into the game. But right now he's looking like RB1.
Yeah.
So, that makes me wonder, like, what happens when Mitchell gets back. But, we'll see.
I think when Mitchell comes back, I think he'll be the starter. But I think, like Shanahan said, he's going to ride the hot hand, and there's no doubt Jeff Wilson Jr. has looked good. I think Mitchell's a little bit better. I think Mitchell's faster. I think he's quicker. But I think they could complement each other, especially if you have, Mitchell, you have Wilson Jr., and then Coleman. I think that's pretty good 1-2-3 punch. I mean, they the 2 out of 3 of those backs look pretty good today.
Yep.
Jimmy
G, I didn't see the interception, so I don't know the whole story. Was it like a tip pass, or was it just a throw that shouldn't have happened?
With Jimmy G, it was a throw that shouldn't have happened, and actually the player dropped the pass. So I think Deebo Samuel was running like an in route, maybe 10 to 12 yards down the field. If the safety wasn't there, it would have been a completion by Deebo. It should have been, but the corner was right on Deebo's hip. The safety was like coming in from if Deebo's coming this way, the safety was coming from the opposite direction and kind of met Deebo toward the ball. And Jimmy shouldn't have thrown it, but fortunately it didn't come back to bite us, and the defender dropped the ball. So, I thought outside of that, I thought Jimmy played pretty well. He threw some 50-50 balls. He gave guys opportunities to make some plays. And what did you think? This offense finally catered a little bit to George Kittle. I mean, I don't know if it was because of his birthday today. That's why they gave him the ball a little bit more. But what did you think about the 49ers involving George Kittle so much today, or at least in the first half?
Well, we have to. He's one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and we're crazy for not using him. I honestly believe that we should have started using him like this sooner.
Yeah.
But he was hurt, and he was working himself back into game shape. So now we're going to see some good production out of him, hopefully the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he had, I think, 5 catches for about 50 yards. I think if we just continue to give him targets, 5 to 7 targets a game for a guy like Kittle is just, it should be easy like Sunday morning, right? It should be something that should always be in this team's script of plays to call. So it was definitely very good to see Kittle involved in this offense. I was going to say, what's something that the 49ers need to work on? I asked you this before I let you go. What's something that the 49ers need to work on going into ATL next week?
Offensive line pass protection. Now, towards the end of the game, I don't know if you noticed this, but Brunskill was at left tackle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jalen Moore, honestly, I think he's a guard type. You know, I don't think he quite has the quickness, with his feet to play tackle.
Right.
But Brunskill in 2019 filled in for Joe Staley for many games and actually did pretty admirable over there.
Yeah.
Not Pro Bowl level, but above average. And that's all we can ask for right now. We got the Silverback. When he gets back, we know what's going to happen over there.
Absolutely.
But I want to see Brunskill starting at left tackle until Trent Williams is back.
Yeah, that'll be intriguing to see because Brunskill, I thought he was all over the offensive line today. Sometimes he was at left guard filling in for Banks. Sometimes he was at right guard filling in for Burford, and also he played left tackle as well. So I think it's interesting that they're using him all around. He's very versatile. He can play any position along the offensive line. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they give Jalen Moore the start next week against the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
And I appreciate you coming on tonight, David. You're welcome anytime to call in, and hopefully it will be another Victory Sunday next week, man. Appreciate the call.
Hey, that's what I'm hoping for, but it's the Falcons that we can never overlook them. We did in 2019, but I think they're always going to remember that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be in Atlanta, so it's going to be a tough atmosphere. It's going to be a loud crowd, but I know the faithful, they travel well, so it's going to be red regardless out there.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. All right, buddy. Thanks for having me on. It's always fun.
Absolutely. All right. So now we have another caller. Let's bring on this gentleman, Peter Lucas. He has his own YouTube channel called the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Let's bring on Peter. What's good? How you doing tonight?
What's going on, brother? How are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing excellent, man. The 49ers are first in their division. I thought there was a lot of positives that came out from this game. What stood out to you tonight, Pete?
Oh, bro, it so much because right before the game I went on for a quick pregame, and it really just came down to I was looking to see if the offense could build on what they did last week, which was kind of use Jimmy more of just like any backup quarterback would be used, because I felt like he kind of thrived in that role. And I thought that keeps the mistakes down. But I will say, Jimmy, I thought he played pretty well. It was one of those good Jimmy days, and it's one of those days that will fool you into thinking that he can handle more next week. And, but we know what it is. As long as they keep the game plan the same, I think he can thrive in that role.
Right.
But I think that we got a chance to see what this offense would look like with two backs. Because Tevin Coleman came in there. Once again, we didn't see Jordan Mason. Tevin Coleman came in there balling, though.
Yeah.
It gives them a chance. So because you're not riding Jeff Wilson into the ground, he looked way more explosive on those jump cuts, even well into the game. I thought that was a major piece, was just Shanny going back to the multiple backs and then using Jimmy the way he used him. Defense, unfortunately, we had a lot of losses on the defense this week. Emmanuel Mosley going down, I thought that was pretty big, even though we do have depth. It's still Emmanuel Mosley was playing so well.
Yeah, I felt like you had two almost elite corners there. And
Mhm.
now there's definitely going to be a significant drop off. I believe in Ambry Thomas. I believe in Womack and Lenore, but they're not Emmanuel Mosley. Let's be
Yeah.
real. So, this defense may have to change up a little bit. Will they be able to blitz as often? Will they have to keep a safety above, whoever plays opposite of Mooney Ward, to kind of help in that matter. So it'll be interesting to see who gets that start next week in Atlanta. The 49ers have shown they have no problem in rotating guys. We saw Brunskill on the offensive line. Womack, he's come in, it seems like in the second half in some defensive sets. He's been playing outside corner. So the 49ers will have to they have to make some serious decisions next week and how they replace Emmanuel Mosley, because if the rumor is true that it's a torn ACL, it sucks for Mosley, especially going into a contract year, man. And he was playing pretty well. So
yeah, for sure.
Very, very, very unfortunate. But you mentioned Tevin Coleman, man. I mean, man, blast from the past, man.
Man, I was not expecting him to look as good as he did. Like,
not at all. What do you think about Debo? I mean, he didn't really get into a rhythm in this game. He did have the touchdown catch. That was good. But the 49ers have not been running Debo up the gut.
I think he realizes now that it was that teams were keying on that.
Right.
Like, I mean, it was just an adjustment that Kyle has to make. I'm pretty sure he'll probably bring it back at some point, but I think maybe it'll just be more of a change-up thing. I think I was like, because he had that one big drop. Like, I don't know if you remember it, but yeah, man, like I was. He shows more often than not that he is that offensive weapon. He's not necessarily a hands guy, but he's got to get the ball. Once he gets the ball in his hands, you can see it's really hard to bring him down. But Jawan Jennings,
the third down beast, man.
Man, that dude was just he was just like no guy wanted to really even. Henderson, I think his name. Like you could tell he didn't even want to touch. He didn't even want to try and tackle him. Right. So I thought that was I thought he made a huge play in the game. Ayuk looked nice. Like if he got more touches, even though he missed that one that he probably should have had on the side where he had to kind of twist his body around. But I mean, like I said, the offense I felt like looked good. I'm really concerned about the Bosa injury too. Because after he left the defensive line, while they were still getting somewhat of pressure, you could see a kind of drop off in the amount of pressure that they were getting.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't replace Bosa. I know we have great depth along our defensive line, but hey, I think Drake Jackson, he'll get some more snaps. I think there's some Charles Omenwehu. We saw Kerry Hyder Jr. in there. Maybe we'll see Kamiko Toure get in, because I think he played in last week's game. I didn't really see him today, but we got a lot of depth. But there's no doubt you can't replace Bosa. We can only try to, with multiple guys, try to replace his production. But we did end up getting 6 sacks, in this game. So and a lot of guys got sacks. So that's definitely good to see. So. I appreciate you calling in though tonight,
for sure, bro. Like I just wanted to come in and support you.
Appreciate it.
Like,
appreciate it. You're welcome.
Great show, man. For sure.
All right, you have a good rest of your night, man.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Take it easy. All right, that was Peter Lucas. He's representing that good old Niner Fanatic podcast. He's got his own YouTube channel. Check him out, Niner Fanatic Podcast. He's been on my YouTube channel. I've been on his YouTube channel, so I appreciate him coming through, just saying what's good and talking a little bit about the 49ers game. Let's continue on with these comments. Double L says, I thought Mitch was doing the kickoffs for us for a while, but the kicks were short and then Gold started kicking them, or am I tripping? I think this year it's been Gold the entire time. Last year, Mitch was kicking a little bit during the kickoffs, but for this year, it was basically Gold the entire time. Double L says, I was joking, Jay, because people want to fire the strength and conditioning, but if every team did that because of injuries, we would all be hiring each other's as football. Yeah, pretty much, man. You are exactly right. David McNew, man, appreciate you for calling in tonight. Let's see. David says, I don't think our injuries are a strength and conditioning issue. I think it's our physical style of play. Yeah. Absolutely, and that's what football is. Double L says people say Jimmy doesn't help this team win, but yet he's been the best quarterback on third down since 2017. If he wasn't doing that, we can't run the ball, we punt and don't score. That's true. Double L says that's a lot of pressure to ask Jimmy to consistently save drives. I think Kyle is going to let Jimmy grow more. Jimmy isn't done developing as a passer, and he and Kyle seem to be talking. I hope so. I mean, uh, Jimmy threw some balls today that he hasn't really done in the past. You know, he's thrown passes where guys weren't even open. And granted, he kind of had to because the pass rush was on him. But you know, Jimmy made some pretty solid throws, and he gave his offensive weapons a chance to make a play. And you know, that's what I see a lot of other quarterbacks do as well. Let's see. Double L. Ward can play in the cast. He's a great tackler. He can punch the ball out with the cast and pass deflect. Absolutely. I completely agree. Double L says the Shark is playing with the cast. He caused a fumble with the cast, and he also knocked the pass down, punching it, causing the team to punt. I think Ward will play well in the cast, just no iron. Exactly. No interceptions, but yeah, he can definitely still hit and use that cast as a weapon, man. Appreciate everyone for tuning in to the stream tonight. We had multiple people call in on this call-in show. I respect it. I appreciate you guys rocking with Jay and the Bay. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe before you head on out tonight. Huge shout out if you're watching Jay and the Bay Facebook and Twitter. If you are, come back to YouTube, type in J space in the Bay and subscribe there. And you can join in on call-in shows like this. You can comment in the comment section. But this is a great win for the 49ers. We beat a team that we're clearly better than. And we did what we're supposed to do. We took care of our business, and we won convincingly 37-15. A lot of things we did in this game that was good offensively and defensively. Special teams, we got some areas to work on, but I think we'll get that figured out as the season goes on. But yeah, I will be on Straight Out of the Bay. We'll have a show tomorrow night. We'll be talking about the 49ers and Panthers game and possibly a little bit Monday Night Football. Be on the lookout for that in the community tab. But huge shout out. I think I did have some super chats. I think Blue True and I think Tommy Huxley as well. Luke Luna had a super chat. Appreciate that. Jag had a super chat. So I appreciate those super chats. Appreciate the contributions to the stream. Everyone have a great rest of your night. Go Niners. We're 3-2 heading into the good old ATL. The 49ers will be staying on the East Coast, for the game this week. The 49ers have done this throughout Kyle Shanahan's tenure. Whenever we have two games back-to-back on the East Coast, the team stays on the East Coast. I think this obviously helps the players and not having to travel as much. So, hey, there's going to be a lot of 49ers news coming up this week, especially regarding injuries. So that's definitely something I'm going to be on the lookout for. But everyone have a great rest of your night. Go Niners. Thanks for watching your boy, Jay in the Bay. I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Niners.